Hello and welcome to episode 157 of the Mid-Off Cricket Podcast. Mid-Off because by midway through, you'll want to switch off. I'm your host, the man voted most likely to have spent the last 4 days sitting on his ass playing Xbox, Mick, and let me introduce you to the rest of the team. The man voted most likely to have spent the last 2 days rearranging cricket pre-season. Welcome, David.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. As soon as you open up and COVID no longer a thing, you got to do everything again.
Yeah. All right, next up is the man voted most likely to be down the beach running 50-metre sprints. Welcome, Alex.
Yep, not anymore. I'm not. It would be hammy again. I could be one of those guys that's old and just does their hammy over and over and over again until I die.
I told you the solution to that, mate. You just got to fucking tell the coach who's on this right now, I just can't run anymore, mate.
Yeah.
Punch it, I think.
I've told the coach that as well.
Degenerative knee condition. I'll laugh it off as. There you go.
The man voted most likely to lead the push to be the Aussie skipper for the Orienteering World Cup. Welcome, Ross.
Thank you, Michael. I always appreciate those sort of intros. They're my favourite.
It's all politics in orienteering too, so it doesn't matter how fast you run. If you can work the politics well, you can captain Australia.
Yeah, you'll be fine, yeah.
I heard Ross was going to go off and be like a runner's sales rep. He's going to sell sneakers and runners and compasses. And got drawn back into the Australian side to be captain because no one else could be captain. So.
Got his own line of compasses and contour maps.
Sweatbands.
All righty, welcome one and all to the Frederick Howard Stock Company studios. This is a tight ship production brought to you by Big Lug Enterprises. So we're going to start off with the news of the day, and that is the news regarding the Australian and Afghanistan test. So the planned historic maiden men's test between Australia and Afghanistan appears to be almost certain, well, not almost certain, it basically has been cancelled after the newly installed Taliban government announced its opposition to women playing cricket in the Islamic nation. So in a statement released today, Cricket Australia confirmed it will be unable to proceed with the planned test at Hobart's Bonstone Arena, which is due to start on November 27, if the news of the Taliban's views on the women's game were true, which they are true because the Taliban's about to confirm all that in about 5 seconds. So driving the growth of women's cricket globally is incredibly important. Cricket Australia, the statement said, our vision for cricket is that it is a sport for all, and we support the game unequivocally for women at every level. If recent media reports that women's cricket will not be supported in Afghanistan are substantiated, Cricket Australia would have no alternative but to not host Afghanistan for the proposed test match due to play in Hobart. So, spokesman for the Taliban, I never thought I'd say those words on this podcast, but spokesman for the Taliban government's Cultural Commission, Amabullah Wazik, had told Australian broadcaster SBS that cricket was not permitted for women under Islamic law. So Islam and the Islamic Emirate do not allow women to play cricket or play the kind of sports where they get exposed, Wazik said. In cricket, they may face a situation where their face and body will not be covered. Islam does not allow women to be seen like this. So basically, in another statement that's also come from someone else involved in this, the ICC expressed concern with the latest comments made by the Taliban and foreshadowed further discussions at the next ICC board meeting, which is scheduled for November after completion of the T20 World Cup. To ensure the Afghanistan men's teams involved in the T20 tournament in the UAE and Oman, but in order to hold full member status, the ICC nations must field both a men's and a women's team. So that basically means to be a test nation, you have to have both. You have to have a men's and a women's team. So suspension of a member nation's test status requires 2/3 of the 17. Is it 17? Sorry, I lost where I was. Fuck, where did that go?
2/3 of 17, that's tricky.
Yeah, so suspension of members nation test status requires 2/3 majority of the vote of the ICC's 17-member board. Afghanistan's women's team is yet to compete in an ICC sanctioned match despite an initial squad being formed in 2010 before being disbanded several years later due to safety concerns. When Afghanistan was granted men's test status in 2017, the ICC granted them dispensation in regards to fielding women's team, provided they were committed to growing again for women and girls in Afghanistan. The women's team had been preparing for their first formal match against Oman in the coming months, but the Afghanistan Cricket Board Chief Executive Hamid Shinwari recently acknowledged the outlook for women's cricket in his country was grim. So there's a lot to uncover there, but basically, long story short, which I could have said instead of reading the whole thing out, is basically the Taliban doesn't support women's sport or a sport where they may be exposed, in their words. So therefore, it looks like the men's most likely, depending on how the ICC wants to handle it, but their chance to lose their test status, which would also mean that this test cannot be played, because if they lose their status, that meeting is 3 days before the test match is scheduled to start.
I've got a couple of thoughts on this, and need to be pretty careful because I'm not a political scientist in any respect or a theologist, but it surprises me that the Taliban doesn't do something that would support women, because that's right up their alley, is to support women. B, this would hold more weight if the Australian Cricket Board, or whatever they're called now, Cricket Australia, hadn't cancelled every other test match against Afghanistan they've ever decided to maybe play in. It does come across to people who sort of know the history of Afghanistan v Australia cricket games as grandstanding, what Cricket Australia is doing. But I also think it is, to a degree, the right thing to do by saying, right, we're not going to support a test series if you're not going to support the full spectrum of what cricket should be in terms of men and women. However, that would hold more weight if Australia hadn't cancelled every other series against Afghanistan previously. So if it was England, for example, coming out and saying, right, women no longer are able to play cricket. And if we said, well, we're not going to play the Ashes anymore, that would hold more weight because we haven't cancelled test series previously. But because it's Afghanistan, because it's Afghanistan, it's an easy thing to say and look like doing the right thing when it could be perceived also as some grandstanding, in my opinion.
I think that's a fair point. Yes, Alex.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very good point. I thought about this too immediately. I think we probably all did when we were like, oh, wow, what a surprise. Australia cancelled the tour of Afghanistan. I did think about this and I was like, well, Cricket Australia do have a good history of supporting the women's game. They were one of the first codes of sport in Australia to pay women full time for their national side, at least. So I kind of think they're like, it's one way, I'm in the middle. Wow, what a surprise. I'm standing on the fence, right? But I agree with you. If this was England, I doubt they would have cancelled playing tests against England. But it nonetheless, I suppose I'm going to look at it positively that they're doing this for the right reasons and not just because it's an easy target. So but they do have a history of supporting women and being in sport. So I'm like, well, it's you're supporting. You've done it previously. You're doing it now. So I think it's a good thing too. So
sorry if I wasn't clear enough. I think they're doing it for the right reason.
But
I think it's easy to get misconstrued as grandstanding because they've never toured Afghanistan before or allowed Afghanistan to tour. That sort of thing. Yeah.
It's sort of their actions of the past to make that.
Preconceived biases as me as an outsider looking in.
I think they're doing the right thing and doing it for the right reasons too.
Yeah.
But I essentially what I'm saying is I agree with you, Dave.
Yeah. But you filled a minute, so that's good.
Yeah. Content is king, as they say, and everyone knows that.
Doesn't even need to be good content, just content.
What about you, Roscoe? Got any
I
thoughts,
think
mate?
it's opportunistic virtue signalling by Cricket Australia to save money. They don't believe in any of this. They're quite happy to schedule a cricket match against Afghanistan when Afghanistan didn't have a women's team. They still don't have one, but now that they can't have one, we won't play against you. It's nonsense. It's just about saving money.
That's some valid points.
Yeah,
that's
I
not on the fence.
Disagree with that personally. I think with the rise of Afghanistani players in the BBL, there was a genuine interest around this test match going ahead from the cricket public in Australia. And I think it's a bit I don't think it's fair to slap them and say, oh, now because they can't have a women's team, you're going to cancel it, because the ICC had given them the exemption anyway. So I just think, like, I don't know. Like, everyone has their own opinions on it. I honestly think the match was going to go ahead. I know it's easy to be pessimistic, isn't the right word, but it's easy to have that viewpoint because we've cancelled so many series against Afghanistan or against Bangladesh or against someone else. So I totally understand that viewpoint. But I have to go into bat for Cricket Australia here, because I think you can never be wrong being on the other side of the Taliban, I think. So if the Taliban's on your side of the fence, you're probably not in the right. So
you'll be on the right side of history moving forward.
Yeah. So but the reality too is that, like, it's not Australia's fault, like, the ICC let Afghanistan into being a test nation without having a women's side. So, and like Alex said, Australia's always been done their best to be on the front foot with women's cricket. Like, we've got, you got the WBBL and all the other things that have, Australia's tried to do over the journey. The reality is too, is that, like I said, that meeting, they're probably going to have their test, that they might have their test status taken off.
So they might not be allowed to play.
It's 3 days before that test match was scheduled to start. So for all we know, by November 27th, they could not be a test playing nation. So therefore, it's not a test match anyway. So
wouldn't hurt to play a first-class game against Afghanistan, but I take your point. India and South Africa had a test match that didn't have test status about 15 years ago because they cracked it over the umpires. One of the other things, Mick, you brought up a good point about, well, what about the BBL? Will all the Afghanistan players still be welcome in the BBL?
Well,
they're not representing Afghanistan then, are they?
Yeah.
And then the second point there is, well, you could have rock at the Olympic Games, which was Russia, but not Russia. So couldn't we have ACB against Australia? It's not Afghanistan, it's the cricket board.
Absolutely, but that's ultimate corruption and, like, politics bullshit. The Rock,
you're calling the Olympics corrupt, squeaky clean.
Pull your head, Alex.
Gender equality.
I didn't know we were part of an Olympic stand.
The one thing I do think from the whole thing is that this is going to be the least likely thing the Taliban care about. So by taking this test match off, but by cancelling this test match, all you're doing is going to be punishing the players and the Australian public and the Afghanistani public who actually have no say in any of this.
It's the same as the whole when Australia toured Zimbabwe when Robert Mugabe was in charge, and they said, we're not playing test matches anymore, and they played 3 meaningless one-dayers and were jettisoned out of the country as soon as the final ball was bowled in that Zimbabwe third ODI. Like, they've played in places before with shocking human rights histories, and it is a strange one, but I think in this respect, like you said, Mick, it's a decent hill worth dying on.
Yeah. I just don't think it's going to make the Taliban walk back any policies.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's going to make any difference, but I think it's good for
It's the right decision, long story.
Yeah.
The Cricket Australia are also happy to cancel this test match because it means they get to deny the people of Hobart another test match.
Which is ideally what they want to do as an organisation, is fuck Tasmania. That's their mantra. Yeah.
So still the last test in Tassie was the one where Cal Ferguson made his debut.
Joe Manny.
London and Joe
the
Manny.
Cricket Australia is going down the AFL path and just like, fuck Tasmania.
But it was interesting. I didn't have it in that article, but in some of the other ones I read doing the research, was even the Premier of Tasmania essentially come out and said, now the Taliban feel like this, we don't want them here.
Yeah.
As well. So there's still a chance that game, even if it was going ahead, might not go ahead. It might not have gone ahead.
Yeah, state government put
anyway.
their foot down.
Yeah. So
good on them.
No one's going to go there.
No one's going to go anyway. The other thing that'll happen is, even though with COVID and we've seen how flexible organisations have to be with scheduling and venues and all the rest of it, Tassie will not get a single extra international game.
Bullshit.
Basically COVID-free for the entire pandemic and not get an international test anywhere but Hobart.
I think the disappointing thing is for the Afghan players, because they were the first cricketers who wanted to go to Hobart since Alex in grand final week a few years back. So, yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up again, Mick.
Nah, it's funny though.
It was a good memory.
That was good.
Memory.
All righty.
It's interesting talking of Tasmanians.
We're not going to be solving the world's problems, so we might as well move on. So next up, speaking of Australian cricket, we're going to speak about the man we just can't seem to not fucking speak about, and that's Justin fucking Langer. So with the T20 World Cup fast approaching and our attention firmly on the Ashes, Cricket Australia has made it crystal clear the expectations surrounding the team management and accountability. So in particular, it is the workload of the head coach, Mr. Justin Langer, which they've tried to address and scale back some of his micromanaging ways. So in short, the under siege coach has been forced to give up some controlling aspects, some control of various aspects, and share the load. So with his assistants in the player leadership group encouraged to step forward and lessen the burden. So the Age and Sydney Morning Herald detailed that Langer had been asked to take more of a backseat and strategic role and avoid stifling the team following a shithouse 12 months. I can't fucking
Tumultuous.
Tumultuous, that's the one. Where the Australian coach was on the brink of being sacked in the wake of a mutiny from the team.
Mutiny? Fucking hell.
Yeah. Love a mutiny. Everyone loves a mutiny.
It's court-martialing stuff.
Fox Sports credit Fox Sports who are kicking the boots in here. This is where I got this from.
Who got keel-hauled, Mick?
Leaks from the Australian team became a sieve this year, with the current group walking on eggshells and feeling on edge to the coach's mood swings and controlling ways. After a disastrous tour of the West Indies and Bangladesh, that's one way to put it, which included T20 series defeats to nations ranked below them, the issues came to a head. Langer was backed by CA to complete his contract, which expires in the months following the summer's Ashes. I don't know how much further he'll go than that, but... But after crisis talks with the current leaders, Tim Payne, Aaron Finch and Paddy Cummins, a resolution has been found, and some middle ground found. Whoever wrote this, come on, mate. Fuck it.
Yeah, there's lots of mistakes in Fox Sports articles, I find. They put the wrong words in and stuff.
There's a lot of blue and red lines under this. It's after I copied and pasted, which isn't a good fucking sign.
No, it's not good sign. So why didn't they do spell check on it? Come on, guys. You know Word, Microsoft
it comes automatically these days. You just type it and it fixes it.
Well, they writing this in a .txt file? Come on, guys.
So the Age and the Sydney Morning Herald also report that Langer's team manager, Mr. Gavin Dovey, has had the high performance component of his role handed over to the new head of the men's program, Brian McFadden.
Oh my God.
Is he the bloke who sings in the group? Brian
isn't he in a fucking band, Brian McFadden?
What? I looked up the name.
Isn't he in like the fucking... Isn't Brian McFadden in like fucking Beach Boys or the Eagles or some shit like that?
He's Irish bloke. He's out of like a
is he in Uncanny X-Men?
No, that's Brian
Maddox.
Brian McFadden's Irish bloke. He's out
from
of
Westlife.
Westlife.
And the boy band Westlife. Yeah. So we've cleared that up for everyone playing at home. So it means that Dovey will concentrate solely on the logistics and health challenges of getting the team around safely, which promises to be tricky throughout the COVID pandemic. Yes, Alex.
Who would have thought that a bloke was pretty good at like organising where the luggage got from one airport to another would be really fucking shit at high performance?
It's funny that. And what I like, Mick, is the next line you're going to read, that Dovey's going to concentrate on these logistics and health challenges of them travelling around, but he's not going to travel to the UAE for the T20.
Is this like...
He's booking all the travel and then staying home.
He's going to actually, what he's going to do, Mick, he's like those commentators who commentate the Olympics, but still are in Australia. He's going to be on UAE time. So he'll be up all night and then sleep during the day. So he's on the phone, ordering taxis for him, checking the lobbies. And
reminds me of that a bloke in charge of the footy club I'm involved with this year is in charge of organising like the goal umpires and the timekeepers and all that. Yeah. And his way of doing it was putting a post on Facebook Friday morning going, this is who's doing these jobs. If you want to swap it yourself. And that was all you hear about him for the whole week. That's the Gavin Dovey method.
Swap it yourself.
This is your playing
good
ticket.
Management,
if it doesn't get you to the UAE, sort it out yourself.
Tell the people at the airport if there's an issue.
Talk to Flight Centre. That's where I booked all these flights through, mate. Your accommodation, I don't know, itinerary. So I told him to email it.
Here's the fax number for Flight Centre. if you get into trouble, ask for Tony. He sorted me out.
I can't. So this is sort of like when cops stuff up and then they get like leave with pay for Dovey, right?
Yeah.
And so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's got leave with pay, just does the bare minimum at home.
Yeah, it's called in some professions gardening leave.
Oh, yeah, but you actually have to get fucking retrenched and then they give you gardening leave, right?
Oh, really? No,
I thought gardening leave was between after you left the business. They've kicked you out straight away.
When they don't want someone else to have you, but they don't want you either, so they fuck you off. And
yeah, they just say stay at home. It's like the lockdown, stay at home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm technically on gardening leave, but I still have to work. Ah, fuck.
No, these people are not working on gardening leave.
No,
I know. I knew it was
the people on gardening leave, their company wants them, Alex.
No, that's unlike me. Yeah, I'm hanging on my dear life. Hang on, I don't even know that saying.
No.
Writing about parrots and transformers.
Yeah, parrots. So on gardening leave, you don't have to do parrot work. You just do no work, but you're still getting paid.
Some good in-jokes flying around here, and especially teaching me about a term that I've used many times in my life and used it incorrectly many times in my life.
What, parrot?
Gardening leave.
Oh, right.
I've talked about it and everyone just goes, yeah, okay, cool. Well, that must be like
gardening leave
fucking idiot.
comes about because it's cheaper to keep paying that person than to retrench them because that involves a payout. And then your business size is probably small, but it might go back up. I've only heard of it in big companies like Telstra or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
They've got a huge number of employees, and so they just wear that cost because they think, oh, well, if we retrench them, give them a big payout because they might have been at the company for 25 years. Then we've got to pay the cost 6 months or 12 months down the track. We'll grow again and need some more people. Then we'll have to recruit and pay the recruiters. So it's actually cheaper to just put them on gardening leave till something comes up.
That's the seek.com.au podcast. So thanks for tuning in.
There you go.
I've also
found
my new dream in life.
Yeah, it's the dream.
To work for a business so long that they can't fire me because it costs too much.
Yeah, I think George Costanza was right on for gardening leave. That was his dream. Yeah.
In Cricket Australia, gardening leave is known as being head coach of the Australian men's team. Even to keep you on than the sack you, so we just put up with shit for another 6 months.
Yeah, we just make it easier and easier for you by transferring authority to other people. Yeah.
And gardening leave not to be confused with the departure lounge, Alex, where you get given the most mundane and dull work so that you decide, I don't want to work here anymore.
I'm sweating a bit here. I'm a bit nervous about maybe I'm in the departure lounge.
Well, speaking of some blokes who might now be in the departure lounge thanks to this situation, fucking stop, Ross, is Andrew McDonald, Michael DiVenuto and Jeff Vaughan, who have been given more responsibility now that Langer's having some taken off them. So they've come in thinking they've got a cruisy job and they've decided, so you're going to get paid the same amount, but here's 5 more tasks. So they're the real losers in this whole situation, I think.
I think so. Except if one of them gets to become a head coach, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the word is, isn't it? They reckon it's old Ronnie McDonald to be one of the blokes in line. So we'll see how that all plays out. We only got to wait until about March, isn't it? I think Langer's contract's up. So.
Yep, that's it.
Can't see him getting extended. There's no fucking way on earth.
You're not that stupid, surely.
No.
Just shake hands and say that was a thing and move on.
Yes, Alex.
There was some comments by, is it Hockley, the CEO?
Yes.
Later in that article that I found quite interesting, that they've had some frank and confronting discussions.
They have a lot of discussions with Langer.
Extremely always constructive was one of the ones.
And quite frank or whatever, but they've clearly defined responsibilities now, which I found fucking nuts. That you've got we read an article out last podcast with that idiot McNamara wrote or whatever, and he was saying you should have less coaches higher go up, and there's too many coaches. We had a discussion about that, but having that many coaches, surely you would have very clearly defined roles. There wouldn't be any crossover on what you're doing. You'd have coaches meeting so you're on the same page, but the function of the coaches, when you have that many, should be pretty clearly defined. I would have already thought.
Are you assuming that this is a highly professional environment?
No, it's sport in Australia, and I never assume that in any aspect. Yes, but I'd expect it, but I don't assume it, if you know what I mean. I'm like, you get paid enough to fucking do this properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You get overpaid from a young age, and then this becomes this industry that overpays people by about 10 times what they're worth. And there's no accountability to actually do things better. It's just all about names and mates and
and what we did when we were which is part of Langer's issues, is we did this is how it happened when I played. So therefore, that's the best way of doing it because we were winning. So I
think from reading between the lines, I think the issue is there may have been clear and like this is your role, but Langer didn't adhere to those and micromanaged and stuck his nose in. So if Ronnie McDonald was running a net session, Langer would be there putting his two bob in instead of just doing his actual job that he's meant to
putting the cones out for the boundary.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, what his job was.
Yeah, it's got the paint can and the rope doing the circle.
Putting those stumps in that fall down when the ball hits them and they spring back up again. The little nets where you put around that stump to catch the ball when they throw it. So you don't have to go and pick up all the balls all the time. They're in a net.
I'm just
setting up the crazy catcher.
Getting a soft ball to throw around to each other as a warm up.
All we can say is there's only about 6 months left of his contract, so there is light at the end of the tunnel. People, we've just got to hold on and pray that the players' natural ability get us through the ashes, and we'll be all right.
That means there's only 12 more episodes of our Justin Langer True Crime podcast.
Yes, I was going to say, so the people that hate us talking about Langer, which is probably 90% of our 10 listeners.
Just everyone,
Yeah, with the lights at the end of the tunnel. But I do agree with your point, Mick. I imagine at one point in time the roles were clearly defined and Langer's ways would probably erode at those things. And the guys are like, well, then they're unsure about what they're meant to be doing. And then it leads to this, I guess. So it leads to a frank and constructive conversation.
Short, jocular, and casual conversation.
I think part of the problem too is I'll just say one more point before we do move on. I reckon in the past, before Langer got the job, there was blokes like Buff Lehman and others that have been pushing for to have more of a say in selection and all of this type of thing. Which, if you're a leveled and well-reasonable human being, that's easy enough to monitor. When you give that power to someone who's absolutely fucking insane,
a dickhead,
it causes problems, which is what we've seen right back.
Yep.
I agree
with that.
All righty. So from there, we're going to keep talking about Australian cricket. We're going to talk about the Australian men's domestic summer. So, unfortunately, at this point, New South Wales and Victoria will not be part of the opening stages of the men's domestic season, just due to what's going on in the state with COVID at the moment, despite the fact that New South Wales is about to just open up and just go Lord of the Flies and just let everything fucking happen. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so Cricket Australia confirmed that they will begin the season in Adelaide on September 22nd, so not too far away. So the domestic summer cricket was originally scheduled to begin this weekend coming up with matches in Perth and Melbourne, but the ongoing lockdowns, as mentioned, and border closures have forced significant changes. But at this stage, basically the only two details we have is going to be 2 one-dayers and 2 Sheffield Shield games. South Australia will take on WA in both formats in Adelaide, and Queensland will take on Tassie in Brisbane in both formats as well. So basically it's been, so like I said, no New South Wales, no Victoria. There's word that their games may be played in the Northern Territory, which I think Alex actually suggested on the last podcast we recorded from memory. So, but they haven't been doing quarantine yet to head over to the NT, so that's going to have to all get sorted out as we speak. So CA has also confirmed the Women's National Cricket League, which was scheduled to begin later this month, will instead get underway in December after the WBBL gets going. The WBBL this year is the Weber WBBL. So
Weber!
Set the sizzle, the WBBL.
Hey!
Barbecues are back.
Yeah.
Get your hot rocks out for the Weber WBBL.
Get the charcoal out.
Yeah.
Got some interesting news, Mick, talking about WBBL. They've got a new finals format, would you believe?
Oh, really?
The McIntyre system?
No.
What?
They're so resistant to that. They must hate that McIntyre bloke at Cricket Australia. They just refuse to get on board with it, even though, IPL use it, CPL use it, whatever. No, they're going first, top of the ladder, straight through to the grand final. Thank you very much.
Shit.
Yeah, then they're having...
See, a bit of reward for winning.
I actually don't mind this structure. I'm not sure if it's the best one, but I think it's got merit. It's good. I think it's better than the Final Five nonsense that the men do. Anyway, the first final is third versus fourth at the home ground of 2. Yeah, and then the winner of that game gets to play second, and they play off to play in the grand final.
So it's basically like a wild card game, basically.
Yes. Yeah, it's a wild card game into a second versus third prelim.
Yeah,
if you want. Yeah. Which is the old top 3 that they used to use in the Matador barbecue set to sizzle one day cup with a wild card on top of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So if you finish third or fourth, you've got to win 2 games to get to the final, 3 games to win the cup. If you finish second, you've got to win 2 games to win the cup. And if you finish first, you just got to win the 1 game to get the cup.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. Yeah. And I do like you can do it pretty quickly. And I like that little thing of third versus fourth. Well, you just got to play that in neutral venue to get through the games quickly.
Yeah,
and that's the other 2 finals are at the home venues, which is good. Second gets a home final, then it's 2 days later. First gets a home final for the granny. So don't mind that.
All right. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Like I said, I don't mind the first game in the grand final because it actually puts a bit of more, but more emphasis on the season and getting on top of the ladder because it's actually a real big reward for finishing on top.
When you play a full 14-game home and away, I know they're not playing home and away probably, but you play each team twice, and COVID permitting you to be home and away, then you should get some big reward for finishing on top of the ladder. And this is it, straight to the grand final. Win it. You get 1 win from the cup.
From the Holy Grail.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the big dance.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, straight through to the big dance. Yeah. And the best thing is, because you've had those 6 days off from the last home and away game, it'll be cherry ripe.
Absolutely. Probably fit in a mini pre-season in between, Ross.
A few sky balls.
Yep.
All righty. So the interesting start to the men's domestic summer will also have a bit of an effect on our World Cup preparations as well, because with the way this starts, essentially means that there's only 6 members of the Australia T20 World Cup will actually be playing at least some white ball game in Australia before they go to the UAE. So it's Mitch Marsh, Ash Nager, and Joshy English are all play for WA. Kane Richardson, the cold drip man himself from South Australia, Matty Wade, and Mitchell Swepson. So they can all play for their states before they fly out in October. And then there's a few other members that are in the IPL, so they'll get a lot of T20 in, which is Maxwell, Smith, Warner, Joshy Hazelwood, Big Stoinis, DC Dan Christian, and Nathan Ellis. Ellis, who the fuck is Ellis? But the men who really going to miss out on getting a chance to play any cricket is going to be Paddy Cummins and Mitch Stark, Adam Zampa and Danny Sams, who are all locked up in New South Wales at the moment. And the skipper from Victoria, Big Fat Finchy, he's probably not going to be able to play anyway because he's still recovering from his knee op. So he's going to go into the World Cup without probably playing any cricket except for a few of those warm-up matches they might have before the tournament starts over there. So it's going to be a very interesting preparation for the Australian side. So. Especially
for Finchy, he needs a bit of practice before he gets going, usually in tournaments.
So
you wonder why they haven't moved New South Wales to NT sort of thing earlier. I mean,
it's a massive landmass, Ross. Like it's going to take eons for it to move to
New South Wales team. Sorry. It has a flow-on effect then about their Ashes preparation. They had 6 scheduled first-class games this year before the first test in Brisbane first week of December. So it takes 8 weeks to play 6 Shield games in the way they go 2 weeks on, then a break, 1 week off. So it's better to move on because they'd have to start the last weekend in September to fit those 8 games in. If they're going to do 14 days quarantine, they start tomorrow, then it's not enough time.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't move them early because this was always going to be an issue. This was never not going to be a problem for Victoria.
I could understand they could get a bit caught out with Victoria because it was more recent, but the New South Wales one's been going since July. The other thing, Mick, was interesting. I was looking at something's gone.
No.
No, sorry. No, Usman. Usman was saying, just looking forward to playing some cricket. and he made a point that he thought the season got too drawn out last year by running into April. It was the longest domestic season ever, and he had a fair point. I thought, why aren't they just starting? Just start it.
Yeah.
Like other sporting codes, NRL, AFL, they just started. I know it was different, and they've kept going. They haven't taken breaks or anything. Why is Cricket Australia not starting these games? Maybe different structure a bit or whatever, but on the date they said they're going to start.
Yeah, it must be a lot of state politics flowing around. We're trying to appease certain states. So it's unfair that we're blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, I mean, that happened early on with AFL and stuff, and they just went, no, we're fine, we're here, but, do you want to play or not, essentially? So I think Cricket Australia probably need to do that similar thing if they if they want the whole season. Maybe they don't care that if it doesn't get through. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe they just think we'll just go for however many games, like 8 again or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think just do it. Get on with it.
Well, that's it, I think. So, you just got to get it moving. So, for those playing at home, so the September 22nd will be a Marsh Cup ODI. So, not an ODI, a List A game, a one-dayer. So, this, as we said, South Australia take on WA Karen Rolton in Adelaide. Then the 24th to the 27th will be the Marsh Sheffield Shield. I love that this company, Marsh, is investing so much in state cricket. But it's fucking annoying when both the things are called the Marsh something. But anyway, so the Sheffield Shield will be the same, South Australia, WA, Karen Rolton. Then basically on the 28th, so the next day, as soon as that Shield match starts, the next Shield match between Queensland and Tassie starts at Ian Healy Oval, and then they'll play their Marsh Cup one-dayer on October 3rd. So, so it's weird they're not running concurrently, but I'm sure there's some reason behind it. Alex?
Disappointing to not have a game at Gladys Elphick Park like they did last year when they played everyone in Adelaide. So had their first-class debut last year and might fall into one of those ovals that only ever play a couple of games.
Yeah, well, I think because they're not setting the whole comp up in Adelaide, they don't need to use all the grounds.
It's interesting, Mick, that you've got a bit of fixturing interest levels. This is good. Talking on a level with someone. So why aren't they playing at the same time? And it means that
just seems odd. Like when they talk about they want, like Usman raised a good point. The season went too long. It's like these 4 teams, because of the way the borders and everything are at the moment, if they run concurrently, they could have had the first 2 and then the second. They just could have just swapped and had it all had 2 lots knocked off in a month.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why they wouldn't do that. It does mean that there's continuous cricket, though, if you like that, because there's the one-day cup games on a Wednesday, and then the next Thursday they have off. Then there's 8 days of cricket because the 2 Shield games are back-to-back, and then the one-day game there's on a Sunday. This is the last one. So
that's it. If you got KO and nothing to do, it's good for you.
Yeah, so. That's it.
I think I read they're going to be on KO and you don't have KO. I think they're all going to be on the CA app too.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So no excuse not to watch them. So fucking watch them, people. Bloody
especially if you're in the departure lounge.
Yep. Yeah, gardening leave. What else would you do on gardening leave?
Perfect. You can't complain about not getting to watch Bangladesh T20 eyes if you're not going to watch the fucking cricket. So,
everyone in Australia's on notice, Mick. We're putting them on notice.
If you are within the sound of my voice, you are on fucking notice right now. All righty. So speaking of Australian domestic cricket, we're going to touch on some BBL news and the biggest BBL story doing the rounds at the moment is from James Faulkner. So
who signed him up?
So that's it. That's what it's all about. So I just want to start off. I'm going to read some things from this article. Like I said, copied and pasted. So not all of these thoughts are my own. Effectively, this first thought is not my own. White ball cricket star James Faulkner. I do not believe that to be accurate, but
former white ball star. Former. Long time ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah. So Faulkner. Faulkner has lashed Tasmanian cricket after failing to agree to a fresh deal with the Hobart Hurricanes following the upcoming Big Bash season. Fucking hell, mate, just read it. So the 31-year-old, I would have swore he was like 35 the way he moves around. So fucking hell. He's the oldest 31-year-old since I was 31. Bloody hell. So the 31-year-old Tasmanian has represented the Hurricanes for the past 3 seasons and also been the Sheffield Shield stalwart for the state for over a decade. But the former Australian ODI player says he is shattered and felt like Tasmanian hierarchy was sticking a knife in my back, with their relationship breaking down, leaving him looking for a new club. So this is basically all from for an interview he did on SEN in Hobart. In his defence or appreciation, he was extremely honest and gave his viewpoint and basically did not hold anything back in this interview, which is always nice to see. It's always nice when someone disgruntled really fucking tells you what they're thinking. But so he's basically, obviously I'm not on board at the Hurricanes. It is very disappointing. I wanted to be part of the Hurricanes and represented Tasmania. I'm just shattered to how it's all played out. They brought an initial offer to my manager, and he was embarrassed to bring it to me. I found that pretty hard to take when I first heard it on the phone. I found it pretty disrespectful for what I've given to Tasmanian cricket. When he gets paid as a volunteer, he gave everything.
I was going to say, what do you do? The school book?
Buy the services off him. He gave it to him for nothing.
Really?
I've put my heart and soul into it. To hear the initial offer, it cut pretty deep. It's all okay for them to say they want me, but when they offered me what they did, it was very clear they didn't want me.
Yeah, they did. They wanted you at the right price.
I know.
Yes, David.
I've got a few things, unsurprisingly. So you mentioned part of a quote on SEN. I'm just going to read that quote in full. I wanted to be part of the Hurricanes and represent Tasmania like I have my whole career.
You didn't?
Hurricanes and represent Tasmania like I have my whole career. As part of this article,
I had this point later on, Bull, as well. Yeah.
After 7 seasons with the Melbourne Stars, my whole career at the Hurricanes. After 7 seasons with the Melbourne Stars, Fortner made a homecoming to Hobart for a 3-year deal. Keep going, Nats. Keep going, Mick. I've got a bit more, but you keep
going. That's the best part of all of this.
Keep going.
So where we go? Where was I? So it's all okay for them to say they want me, but rather they didn't want me. They just left me in the background after they promised they were going to sort it out. They actually called me before I went to the Pakistan Super League to apologise, and it still never got sorted out. In Hobart's defence, this is at the time when there was the whole contract no signing thing because they were trying to do the
embargo.
Embargo because they were trying to do the international player draft. So teams weren't signing anyone. So this is why there's been so many signings lately once that plan got scrapped. So he right now has knocked back a deal when he couldn't get a deal anyway, but that's a whole different story. But yeah. So Hurricane bosses did twice up their offer, but the renowned all-rounder felt disrespected by the manner in which negotiations occurred. So his quote was, they did offer a couple of more times. It was the initial offer and not feeling wanted. I know what I'm worth. I didn't want more. I just wanted what was fair and maybe a little less. So it comes back to that first offer. I didn't feel respected as a player or as a person or a Tasmanian.
Shut up.
Brilliant.
The Human Rights Commission.
So I read a couple of articles on that. One of the other articles I read, he basically said that they offered him 2 more times and put the money up, and he rejected it just because he was so pissed off with the first offer. So he went to them and said, this isn't enough. And they said, here's more. And he said, no, you didn't offer me enough the first time. Fuck you. I'm not taking
Wanker.
more. So
Wanker.
come on, buddy. But all right. So in Hobart's announcement of Faulkner's exit last week, head coach Adam Griffith referenced Faulkner's injury struggles in the past 2 seasons, which hampered his performances. But Faulkner lashed that claim as well. They used injury against me the whole time, which is quite disappointing, Faulkner said. Last season, I had an 8-week hamstring and tried to come back in 3.5 weeks and put my body on the line to come back, so we had a shot at making finals. But the coach used that against me, I felt was wrong.
He would have been the difference.
8-week hamstring. I've never heard of an 8-week hamstring. They're 3 weeks.
I'm being fixed in 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm currently going through like a.
Yeah, you're not a pro sportsman, mate. You're either off for
24
surgery and gone
weekend.
for 3 months, and then
you're not an
or
athlete.
3 weeks.
Is what Ross is trying to say.
I did, yeah, really. I did. My physio did. I did ask the physio if an elite athlete come back, what sort of time period? And they're like 21 to 28 days for your grade 1.5-ish tear, grade 2 tear.
Yeah.
So it's 4 weeks for like the world's best functioning body, right? So like, and not one
Well,
that's.
as we know,
So
Faulkner
it probably
doesn't
is
have
8
that.
weeks for James Faulkner.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, well, he must have done it pretty good. Is all I'm saying. If it's 8 weeks, because he'd be pretty fit. Like,
Reading this article,
I don't know,
too, you
he's
probably
pretty
take
fat.
a professional out of professional athlete. When James Faulkner.
oh yeah, well, the way he's acting is very unprofessional. Absolutely, yeah. So
Well,
he
he's out of
maybe
the cop profession.
it maybe takes that same professionality.
Mick,
Yes.
Yes.
guess how many games in the last 2 seasons? So the 29 games the Hurricanes
already
have
know.
played.
I already know.
So
I
guess.
don't know.
So then guess.
8.
12.
Yep, 12 games out of 29.
Oh, fuck it out.
Yep.
Miss more than
Yeah,
half,
so I'm
yeah.
saying the offer, they probably offered him his pro rata for the games that he played.
Yeah.
And he's,
Yes. What a fucking pillock.
yeah.
Oh,
So
just
next
take your
up,
money.
so this is the one where he gets his nose really out of joint. So when you watch the news and you see who I thought was one of my mates, as well as the head coach, so his mate's the head
Griffith,
coach,
yeah.
say the bowling group and the team have performed well without me, and we need to move on, and that he didn't really care. That's like
Yeah.
sticking a knife straight in my back.
Yeah.
That's not called for.
He doesn't care, cunt.
Yeah.
It's fucking a bit of entitlement going floating about.
very
Just a
fucking
bit,
much
right?
so.
A little bit, jeez.
The other
I think-
part I cut out of this fucking article, which shitted me too, 'cause it was very pro Faulkner, basically trying to say how dumb by it is. And so they talk about how he won 3 Ricky Ponting medals in a row, which is the Tasmanian bayonet. So which is very impressive, something you can really hang your hat on. And he was man of the series in a Sheffield Shield win as well, which is
The
really
World
good
Cup.
as well.
He was the World Cup man of the
Man
match,
of
I
the
think,
match.
in the final.
Yeah.
So the thing with those 3 medals, but the last one was won in 2012, 2013, which means fucking 7-8 years ago, James.
Yeah, when he was good.
Like,
Yeah.
mate, like, fuck me. I made a ton fucking 15 years ago, mate. You don't hear me still hanging my hat on it. I made 3, not just 1, but anyway.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's always tough, I think, for some athletes to accept that they're no longer a starting 11 player.
Good,
And they're just
yeah.
a squad player.
They're no longer
And
good.
he's just squad player.
Yeah.
That's what he is. I said, we'll pay you what a squad player gets. You're not in the starting 11, which is fair enough. Look what he's played the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair enough asking for more money, but not going to the media and fucking spilling your beans like you look like an idiot.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
just
fair enough, you can be
airing your dirty laundry.
Yeah, you can be insulted and ask for more money and go, really, and have these things behind closed doors. I'm sure it happens a lot, especially for passionate people. And,
But isn't that a contract thing? Like they come to you with an offer and you go, "That's shit, give me more," and they offer you more and you go, "Yeah, I'll sign it." Yeah.
What he's doing though is telling the stories without telling the real story, which is what are the numbers? Tell us the numbers.
Well, that's exactly right.
Spit
What
on
does
it.
he think he's worth, and what did they offer him? And then up twice, and you still rejected it on fucking the
I'll have to go to
principle
the
of not being
Caribbean
offered
Premier
what you were
League.
worth the first time.
I'll have
I'm
to go to
judging.
the PSL. Oh God, I
He
can't
played-
take
he
that.
played-
Fuck off.
He played 12 out of 29 games in the last contract he had. No matter what they offered him, that is what he's worth.
Yeah,
I do
overs.
not fucking care. They could have offered him a fucking pack of chips and a Coke a game. That is what you're worth, James, because you played about a third of the fucking games, mate.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
You're only worth what someone's willing to pay, and none of the other teams are willing to pay a squat for him.
What's the other team
Yeah,
doing?
he would have said
Strikers.
straight away, go to
So this is the beauty of this as well. When you're saying what are the other teams going to play, he's come out in this and gone, I'm so Tasmanian, I'm so Hobart through and through. I will not play for another team in the BBL.
Yeah, the stars are from Tassie.
Yeah.
What a fucking idiot.
So what I
hate him.
that means
I
when
hate
the
him.
word got out, no one offered him a deal either. So he's like, I don't want to play for anyone if I can't play for Hobart. No one wants to sign
I don't want
him.
to. That's like me saying I don't want to play for the Australian cricket team.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly do it. No way. I don't want to
It
play for the
reminds
Aussie
me.
cricket team.
It reminds me of and for people at home that are AFL people,
No one's listening.
it reminds me. It reminds me when Collingwood fucked off Aaron Jolly. and he got in the media and he got on his high horse and he lost his fucking mind and said,
And no one wanted him.
Getting rid of me, rah, rah, rah. And he never played another game of AFL because guess what? You were done and Collingwood were right and Hobart's fucking right now, James. Go overseas, go to Pakistan where you're doing really well. You know why you're doing really well, mate? Because it's the third fucking tier comp. That's why you're doing really well, mate. You can come play fucking with me in the Eastern Cricket League. You probably do pretty fucking good as well,
Yeah,
mate.
you still get paid 10 grand like Pakistan are paying you.
And Bull fact check, our last episode on 148 listens.
Yeah, that's you three listening far too many times.
I haven't listened to this podcast
50
in
times
about
each.
3 years.
If my math is right, it's about 50 times each you three listening.
Interesting one, Mick. What the BBL doesn't have anymore, it's got some poorly run clubs such as the Renegades, but there's not that proper bottom feeder club that just takes any region.
Like Sydney Thunder used to be.
Yeah, like Sydney Thunder used to be.
Yeah.
And Renegades are sort of in that sphere, but have never really stooped that low to just get other teams rejects.
Ben Rohrer.
Yeah, they just got sort of, but they're not cast-offs. They're just lesser known.
Yes, they're just not as good. Right?
What James Faulkner really needed is to be playing AFL in the early 90s where Fitzroy would have just gone, thanks.
He needed early 90s. He needed to play football now and go to Gold Coast fucking Suns.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, he needed Sydney Thunder BBL 02 is where he needed to be.
That's it. He's just got that written all over him, but they don't have a bottom feeder club in the BBL now. We've got some ordinary teams each year, but no bottom feeder. Sorry, mate.
No, all good.
Sorry, cunt. Yeah.
That's the ballad of James Faulkner. So stiff shit,
sad
buddy. I'll file that in my filing cabinet of shit I don't give a fuck about, but I still talk about it on the podcast.
An entertaining 10 minutes, though. Don't get me wrong.
All righty. So speaking of the Sydney Thunder, so we've got some more BBL signings. So the Sydney Thunder have re-signed.
You dickhead.
Sydney Thunder have re-signed everyone's favourite street fighter. And that is Blanca. No, not Blanca. It's Alex Hales. So Alex Hales, even though he's on the out of England, former English coach Trevor Bayliss has re-signed him at the Sydney Thunder. So, yes, Roscoe.
I heard actually to celebrate that, Rooty Hill RSL has renamed its back room to Mbago.
So it's a pretty big signing, but in fairness to Sydney Thunder, because for those of you who remember, Alex Hales actually topped the run scorers last year with 543.
It's very good.
I didn't remember.
At a strike rate of 160, which is the most impressive part of all of that.
Yeah. Did he win the ball game?
The most sixes in the tournament for the season with 30.
I don't think we would allow that, Paul.
You would have gone close to the boogie.
Yeah, I think he might have.
So, so Bayliss, as we know, he was the head coach when Hales was banished from the side because he failed 2 recreational drug tests in the 2019 World Cup.
And kicked the fuck out of someone.
Shit under the bridge. A drug test.
You can't be trusted.
So it's going all right.
He couldn't be trusted back then, but he can be trusted now.
Yeah.
BBL goes for a month. It's all good. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Don't have bars and nightclubs called Embargo in Australia. So right.
And how much trouble could he get in with 2 to 3 months?
And Sydney's locked down anyway.
In Sydney, he'll be all right.
They're not open up past 1 p.m. or something, right?
Yeah,
so it's probably
1
safe.
p.m. Lunchtime, ding-a-ling that night session. Go on.
Boys.
Everyone rocks in 11 a.m. to have a sip before lunch and finish your lunch. They just whip the plate out and shut the doors.
I worked in Sydney, and by 1:30 in the afternoon, people are going, "Oh fuck, we better get to the pub. We'll be locked out soon."
All righty. So, the more BBL signings. So we spoke about last week how the Sydney Sixers had signed 9 of the 11 players from their title/premiership winning team. We're trying to work out who the final 2 were, and I have them both here with me right now because they have re-signed this week.
In your room with you?
Yes, just sitting over here off camera. They're not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to speak. They're not allowed to interact, but I can assure you they're here. So we've got some guest stars on this episode.
Can you turn the camera around for us, Mick?
He's not allowed to.
No, I'm not.
Can I see it?
No. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Much lads. Savage. Yeah.
All right, lads.
All righty. So, does anyone want to hazard a guess
Good
who the 2 players are before I read them out?
James Vince.
Yes, Roscoe.
Jimmy Vince.
And Jackson Bird.
Brad Haddon.
That is the other one. Someone went on the internet today after I put the calendar out. Fucking read it.
I saw James Vince about 4 days ago, and then I was looking to see how to get Afghanistan
just off camera.
He was actually sitting in this seat
underneath the clock.
On the right side of the clock, and then I was down the shops and bumping Jackson Bird, and he said, "Yeah, just."
Did it hurt when you bumped into him?
Yeah, I said, "Oh, sorry, mate." He goes, "Oh, fuck, mate."
Shut up, Al.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so as Roscoe has alluded to, he's correct. So James Vince has re-signed with the Sydney Sixers for his 6th season in the Big Bash. So, but there's a wrinkle in this because he has been spoken about by English coach Silverwood, possibly making a return to the national side. And the way they're playing at the moment, he fucking is after a chance to get back in that fucking team. So
that idea made my socks go up and down. Goodness, wow.
So Vince played all 5 tests of the England's last Ashes tour 4 years ago. And while he hasn't played Test cricket since 2018, he's reportedly in consideration to be recalled for last week's test against India, which we know didn't happen. So the issue is going to be for the Sydney Sixers. If he does get put in the Ashes squad, he will play for the Lions against Australia, which means he'll miss possibly the first 3 games of the BBL season. So
you think if he's over here? Sorry,
currently is the first test.
Yeah. You think if he's over here, he'd probably be in a squad, either the Lions or the actual Ashes squad.
Yeah, I think the Lions are only playing 1 game though.
Fucking hell, that's a lot of quarantine. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, they're all going to be playing BBL, aren't they?
Right, okay. Just the BBL Lions squad.
Keep your enemies close and your Lion squad closer.
Yeah, big bad Lions squad. That's the BBL.
Jeez, they'll rub a wrinkle into it in quarantine. 14 days. Dooley.
Jesus, and rub the wrinkle out. In and out.
I think
the Spotify hotel quarantine.
They're bringing the Lions with them is they can have then an intra-squad with the chair at midweek.
Nadia Bartel Lions.
That's it. Actually, I had a good final thought coming up because
cheaper than Australian Lions.
I was thinking that of this podcast that I would be the Nadia Bartel and Mick would be the one with the broken phone. Alex would be the one who owned the $3 Kmart plate, and Bull would be the one who used to go out with Magic Door.
I can't wait for an article about us.
Yeah.
So as we touched on, the final member of the Sydney Sixers to lock in all 11 members is Big Jackson Bird. So Jackson Bird is 34 at the moment, so he's got a few.
Wow.
Only got a few more details left in front of him, but
he looks older than that.
Yeah.
But yes, he was a part of the squad for the title-winning campaigns in BBL 09 and BBL 10, and he signed a 2-year deal to stay with the club, so he'll be there till at least he's 36.
Wow.
As we said, this means that all 11 players who played in the final last year have re-signed.
What about the 12th?
And what was that?
What about the 12th?
No, I don't know. I think he got picked up by the Hobart Hurricanes who played James Faulkner at 12th man.
Right. Yeah.
They go, we need a championship winning 12th man, so they went out and got him. So
he wouldn't do it for the Sixers because they're not Tasmanian.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No, I couldn't possibly.
No.
I think they consulted Andy Bickle for the selection process too on that one. He'd know.
So the Sixers also have re-signed Greg Shipper to a new deal, which means all of those people from that title are all together now, and they're going to go for their 3rd consecutive trophy because, as we said, they have won the last 2, so they're going for the elusive 3-peat in the BBL.
That's a dynasty, I believe.
The magenta 3-peat.
Yeah. Men in pink. Eh?
The big ship's going to dock.
Imagine that lithograph. That'd be so bright and neon.
Horrible. Put your sunglasses to look at it.
All righty. So from there, we're just going to quickly touch on some international cricket news as well. So the Bangers are still playing T20 cricket against sides from over this side of the world. At this time, they're taking on New Zealand. So, and they have just overnight defeated New Zealand to claim a series win in the T20s against New Zealand as well. So we might have to put a combined side together with New Zealand to see if we can knock off this Bangladesh superpower the way it's going. But yeah. So
interesting. It doesn't seem it's not as easy now, is it? New Zealand pot shotters.
Yeah, you wankers
over the pond.
Yeah,
it's all fucking easy. Yeah. Bangladesh is shit, I heard. Oh,
get
Australia
vaccinated,
is
you fuck cunts too, by the way.
So Bangladesh have held off New Zealand to win the fourth T20I International by 6 wickets in Dakar and clinched the 5-match series 3-1. I can flog them with a game to spare. So Naseem Ahmed was player of the match. He took 4 for 10 as they rolled New Zealand for 93.
So for those,
so for those playing at home, that means Bangladesh has knocked off the number 1 and number 3 test playing nations in the last 4 to 5 weeks. But that being said, in T20I, New Zealand are ranked 4th, Australia are ranked 6th, and Bangladesh are 7th. So it's a little bit more even in that form of cricket. Yep. For those playing at home going into the World Cup, England and India are ranked 1 and 2, and Italy are ranked 26. So I think I'm still a chance to get in the squad. So we'll see. Squads are the cutoff for the squads is until tomorrow, so I'm still a chance to get named for Italy, but I don't think they go to the World Cup, so I don't think they qualify. But that doesn't matter.
Look, I'm just saying I couldn't possibly put my name forward for the Italian squad because I'm too much of an Australian and Victorian.
Yes.
So
can't do it. Can't do it yourself.
No. Do you have any news on Tajikistan rankings? No. Okay. Last, I would imagine, because they've never played
big flagpole. I know that.
It's fucking massive.
Second biggest in the world. 165 metres.
Yes.
When I went to the ICC to look at the rankings, there is a fuckload of countries that have ICC T20I, like whatever.
Yes.
There was 100 and something fucking teams on.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like the FIFA membership status. It was just about everyone in the world has it, but yeah.
If they had a true World Cup, it could go for 4 fucking years. not every 4 years. It could actually go for 4 years. Let everyone fucking play in it.
That's the future of cricket internationally. Everyone plays everyone for 4 years, and it comes down to one last dance.
The super mega champion. Yeah.
Big dance.
But I tell you what, if you want to fucking start a reason why T20 should be the cricket that goes into the fucking Olympics, there's your fucking one right there. So,
so many member nations.
So, speaking of the T20I World Cup, it looks like, unfortunately, Ben Stokes is still going to be out, and he's not going to play in the World Cup for England, unfortunately. The England coach, Chris Silverwood, basically confirmed that the other day. The squads have to be announced or finalised tomorrow as we're recording, which is September the 10th in Australia. So they're basically that he's still not ready to come back yet. So for those who don't remember, he had a finger injury, which he's recovering from, but he's also had a few mental health things dealing with COVID and some family issues. So he hasn't played any cricket since July. So it's been a fair
long time.
It's been a long time out of it for him. So hopefully,
good luck to him.
Yeah, well, hopefully, you know what? I'd love to see him come and play the Ashes, just because I don't want him to have any excuses when we beat him. But
obviously not his biggest fan, but good luck to him.
But like you can't, like it's there's injury and then there's what he's dealing with as well, which is different. You just don't you don't want anyone to deal with that. So fingers crossed he gets to come back and play. Hopefully he can find a way to work through what he's dealing with and a plan so that he can come back to playing international cricket.
Get back to his best.
He's only against 26 or something. You don't want to lose a player like that.
Yeah. Is he only 26? Fucking hell.
He might be older than that. He doesn't seem. I don't think he's that old. He seems like he come along really young. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's like 28 or something.
Redheads don't age.
Yeah,
19, I believe. That's interesting. He's like Shahid Afridi. The longer he plays, the younger he gets.
He's 19 for 25 years. Yeah.
Interesting.
1991 he was born.
That the T20 World Cup's coming up, and there's also some Test cricket happening in England at the minute.
There is, yes.
How long do you want to go for, Ross?
Oh, I was just going to say, I thought that the bowling effort by that bloke Java was pretty shit. It's not how you bowl, mate.
I don't understand how you can watch cricket. He obviously watches it and be that bad at bowling.
Just give it a rest, Java. The first time was funny.
He watched a lot of cricket.
First time was funny. Second time was whatever. Third time, you just fucking taking the piss.
He's a YouTube nuffy, which doesn't help.
Oh, is he?
He's getting some notoriety out of it, so I don't think that's helping.
I suppose he's probably making money, views.
Yeah.
It's lucky, like could be a little bit serious. Lucky he didn't bowl over Bairstow or hurt him in any way.
Yeah, true.
Because that would be shit. Like I think he's a prankster, but it's like I agree, it's taken it too far. Third in a row, that'll do. He's just making the authorities look stupid, which is weird.
That's the thing. Like, at some point, don't they have just a note to all the security guards? If you see a bloke in full kit,
look out for this dickhead
on the back, fucking grab him and don't let him fucking do anything.
How did he get so far onto the ground? Like, isn't there like a person every 20 metres? Like, isn't one of them... Like, I know they look backwards into the ground, but shouldn't they be like maybe this time looking forwards? And if you see someone get on, run.
I'm with you, Ross. Luckily, he didn't knock over Bairstow because England don't have a backup keeper in their team.
No.
You know, the three that they've got, you know, it probably wouldn't do the same
job.
To
get that bloke they played against New Zealand, old dropsies.
I think lucky for us, he didn't hurt Bairstow because that means they're probably more likely to bring him to Australia for a play against. So.
Luckily for Jarvo, Bairstow didn't fucking headbutt him while saying hello.
I don't understand how you can run that far in a straight line and then run into someone.
The umpire was sort of blocking his view and stood out of the way or something. I don't know.
Fuck, what a horrible action. Fuck.
One of the worst. Makes Johnny Howard look good.
Yeah.
At least no one had his arms in the right position.
Shot putting.
It made Murley look like a legal delivery.
I'll give him one tip. So he's been out there as the captain directing the field. He ran out with the bat and the helmet the last game to face up. He's run into bowl. So he's got to now, he's got to go keep, doesn't he?
He's got
to go out a square leg, I reckon.
That's what I want to say. Go out as an umpire. That's what I want to see.
Or a groundsman, just ride the Gatorade truck out there.
That's pretty good.
Drinks.
Oh, that hovercraft fucking pitch cover, start pushing it out.
One of those old-fashioned drinks trolleys, with the little curtain thing on the top. Just push that out to the
I've actually got a conspiracy theory that he's in on this with the ECB, I reckon, to create buzz around the series.
Yes, it's very 100, isn't it?
Yeah, because the cricket itself hasn't been great,
No,
well, there's been two awesome test matches.
Yeah. It's the next logical step from pedo-looking blokes playing a fucking cricket bat guitar in the stands, sending actual crowd invasions as entertainment.
You just have to bloke with a YouTube channel that invades the pitch. But
you're right there, Alex. And actually, next game, what the actual plan is, and it's got out, and I got a little bit of a download
from those people off camera.
James Vince and his mate's just over there, just stage left. Yep. So what they're actually going to do is there's going to be a number of people, and this is why the security guards are in on it, because the security guards are going to run out, and Jarvo's going to run out with the keeping gloves and the umpire's hat and all the rest of it. The security guards are going to run out, and then they're going to be a flash mob and do this cricket-inspired dance moves. All the security and Jarvo. Right,
because cricket is normally about 5 or 6 years behind pop culture things.
So, everyone will plank. That's what they'll be doing.
Oh, fuck.
And they'll play that song. And
then the mannequin challenge. Then they'll do the mannequin challenge.
And then they'll all pour ice water on each other.
Then they'll do the ice bucket.
God. And then have flared jeans.
Boot cut jeans. With their ass crack hanging out with a G-banger over the top.
The security guards, they're going to throw their high-vis vests off and come out as obese people who run cricket games.
And here come the cricket administrators.
Tidy it up, Mick.
Trying to run falling over, slipping in their
Shut up, you two.
The test that Jarvo came out was England versus India, and that was at the Oval, and that was a shit show. We just want to highlight, probably the highlight of the match was England on the last day went into lunch at 2 for 131. Came out after lunch in 10 minutes, lost about 4 for nothing, which was fantastic. So fucking good on them. Well done. The thing was, people were making out like they were really in the box seat and were going to just fucking bring this home until they lost those wickets. They were chasing 368. That would have been the highest fourth innings run chase by an English team ever. It would have broken the record that they set at Headingley 2 years ago, which required Australia to fucking miss stumps and throw boundaries and do all kinds of shit. So let's not, if we're English here, let's not get in our high horse like, oh, we're in the box seat and then one bowling spell fucked us up. No, it didn't. You cunts were never making 368. Fuck off. Yeah. So that's my take on that.
Yeah.
Relax, England.
I feel like we say that a lot about like their supporters and commentators and stuff. They seem to go off the handle a bit.
Good luck to them because it makes the fall even sweeter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It makes the collapses chef's kiss.
They have this, like, the nicest way to put it is this unfounded, optimistic arrogance that they just think that they're going to do whatever they want.
I feel like that's you're just describing Australian cricket.
No, I was actually going to say they've got Australian arrogance without any of the titles or success to back it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've been pretty successful, but not in the last 5 years.
One World Cup and a couple of Ashes series.
Yeah.
They didn't win 3 World Cups in a row and just fucking smash everyone for 16 years, did they?
No. They haven't even lost the T20I series to Bangladesh like a proper fucking nation.
Yeah. When have they done that?
Yeah, what have they done?
Not this Joe Root captaincy year, but Ali Cook and Andrew Strauss years, they were
successful enough, but they didn't win
they're coming
they weren't
from
16
extremely
years
low,
in a row.
No, they're coming from extremely low base, the 1990s.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
No, good point. Sorry, Ross. I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's like celebrating making prelims in footy. Like, it's success, but it's not.
Is it real success, though? Yeah, that's right.
Deep down.
Yeah.
Real success.
Is your name in the record books? No, it isn't. Yeah, you won a couple of things, but
You're
not
a
the
failure.
real thing.
You're a failure.
I think you've got a little bit of spit in your beard, Alex.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, no, it's his microphone.
Oh, no, it's your microphone.
That's probably enough for us, I reckon.
Yeah. All right. So the final test of that test of that series starts tomorrow on September 10th Australian time. So that'll
Friday night.
Will be
ESPN Occo, I believe.
Chester. So
Friday night test match. Yeah.
ESPN Occo live at 8 p.m.
Occo.
The Occo.
That offends Mick as an Italian.
We've just got a quick county wrap mix talking about stuff happening in England.
Fuck.
Shitload of wickets fell on the first day.
Really?
Of the latest round. Yeah,
I'm imagining lots of cricket played.
Including one game where they got to the third innings before stumps on day one.
Wow.
Talk about that one and none of the rest.
I'm not talking about any of them.
Yeah.
But that was the one I looked at. I can't remember who played. It was that interesting. I did quickly look at the
Some
scorecard.
of the sexes.
And one thing caught my eye, Alex.
Oh.
And that was the first change bowler. And his name is a Hall of Famer, 2 first names. It was Ben Mike. Who has ever heard of anyone with the surname Mike?
What's his brother's name, Ross?
Radio.
And his brother?
Drop.
And cousin Lapel.
Cousin Lapel. There's also
estranged cousin Boom.
Boom. Yeah. And then their other cousin Off. Yeah. I've never heard someone would be a better name than Ben Mike.
Yes.
Mike. Hey, Mr. Mike. No, that's like. Oh, that's right. Oh, whoops.
Whoops.
Moving on, Mick.
All righty, okay. So that does us. So that will do us for this episode of the Mid-Off Cricket Podcast. So I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, the Frederick Howard Sock Company. You've missed Father's Day, but Christmas is coming up, so do yourself a favour and get ready for Christmas. And that's it. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. No final
thought
from Ross. Well,
no, didn't have one.
Fuck Ross's final thought.
You got